Have you ever been at a party and someone asks you, "How many languages do you speak?" Well, this happened to me the other day, and I was like, "I speak 2.5 languages." And of course, they were like, "What do you mean, a half? How can you speak half a language?" I said, "Yeah, my native language is English, and I'm pretty fluent in Spanish, and I know a little bit of Japanese." The thing is, I lived in Japan from 2014 until 2017, and towards the end of my time there, I could have a pretty flowing, easy conversation. I wasn't fluent, but I didn't have that many hesitations, and I could express myself pretty well. After 2017, I moved to Peru, where they speak Spanish, and now I live in Spain, where again, they speak Spanish. So my second language has become Spanish. I've been using Spanish way more than my Japanese, and I basically lost a lot of motivation to study Japanese or to just practice Japanese. I still speak with some Japanese friends that I made while I lived in Japan. However, their English is incredible. They are basically fluent. So when we communicate online, we talk in English, unfortunately. This means that I've lost a lot of my Japanese, and it's quite sad because I invested 3 long years of my life into learning the language. And I realized this is quite a common occurrence. Many people study a language for many years, something happens, they lose motivation, and then progressively it gets worse and worse. So I thought, I want to make a video about how to restart or to relearn a language after a long break. And here are my 5 tips to help you do exactly that. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Tip number 1 is to watch, read, or listen to something that motivates you. Try to find something with a topic or a theme that you're interested in. That could be a sport, it could be your favorite band, it could be just about the country, a documentary, but make sure you're listening or you're watching or reading in the target language. In my case with Japanese, after the party, I went home, not that night, but the next day I went home and I watched some Ghibli films. So you might know Princess Mononoke. It's one of my favorite films from Japan. So that really inspired me because I was interested in the story. Another film that I really love from Ghibli or the Ghibli studio is Ponyo. It's a bit of a strange movie, but I like that. Basically, a boy befriends a fish and it's just kind of weird and wonderful. But the other thing that's really good for the language side of things is that the mother and father often talk to the child with very simple language because he's a very small child. And this helps me to follow because it's not too challenging. The language is for a child. So as a language learner, as someone learning Japanese, it's quite an easy introduction to the language. Of course, I use subtitles as well. Another thing you can do is get some graded readers. Right? These are the ones I have for Japanese. I love these because these books are designed for language learners and they have lots of different levels. And they're very thin, which makes it a lot more motivating. It's not a massive novel, which is quite daunting and scary. And these are really cool because they have the hiragana, right, which is the alphabet that you learn first, hiragana or katakana. And then they have also the kanji next to them. So you can basically read the kanji or learn the kanji slowly alongside the katakana or the hiragana, as you can see here, hopefully. And again, it's really cool to get these books because it helps you to learn a language naturally. You're focusing on the story more than studying, which can be detrimental to your motivation if you just grab a textbook and do some boring grammar exercises. You want to be invested in something. So these books are great for that. And in terms of the listening, you can find some podcasts online or maybe even a TED Talks in your target language. I haven't found any for Japanese just yet. So if you know any, put them in the comments below. I will greatly appreciate it. Step 2, determine what you need to review or whether you need to start again. So basically, you're looking at analyzing your own level of the language. How much do you remember, or if you remember anything at all? Of course, This might be easier if you're already a language professional and you have some idea of how to analyze your level. Or maybe you've learned other languages before, and again, you have those tools to analyze what you need to do and what your weaknesses are. It's something I try to do while I'm doing step 1, while I'm listening, watching, or reading something in Japanese. I try to write down any time that I found it difficult or I found it challenging. So then later I could review and see if there are any patterns. Maybe I found it difficult to understand the past tense conjugation in Japanese, and so on. Also, I feel it's important to mention it's not just about what to review in terms of the language, but also it's important to review how you studied before. This might have been a problem and a reason why you quit learning the language. In my case, when I first arrived in Tokyo, I was studying pretty hard. I bought a textbook and I was studying about 3 hours per day. This, after some time, was quite draining. It made me feel like I wasn't making any progress, and I just felt like it wasn't something that I could keep up forever. And that's something I'll look at now with how I study. I think it's better, in my case, if I give myself 20 minutes per day, or at least 20 minutes, and take a 20-minute break, do something else, go for a walk, and then come back and do another 20 minutes of studying Japanese. I also realized that just studying with a textbook wasn't motivating me enough. It wasn't going to keep me going over a long period of time. What I needed, or what I need, is an outlet for the language that I learn. I need to use it with somebody. And that's why I decided to go on iTalki and look for a teacher. So I was searching through the platform, watching the videos, trying to find someone that I felt I could bond with. Because again, it's also important that you enjoy the conversations you have. If you find a teacher boring, they're not the teacher for you. On iTalki, they have a lot of native speakers, and I came across Yuko from Tokyo after a little bit of searching. I really liked her profile because she seemed really bubbly and energetic in her video, and that's something that I'm like as well when I'm learning a language. I want them to be fun and enthusiastic because I'm going to invest the same amount of energy into the class. I really enjoyed the class because it was a one-on-one personalized class. I spoke to her before we started about the problems I was having, and she tailored the class to my needs. Throughout the class, she only spoke to me in Japanese, which was great, even though she spoke Spanish and English. So she was able to analyze the mistakes that I was making in Japanese and give me some feedback. She's a professional Japanese teacher, so she was able to analyze and tell me where I needed to go or where I needed to start again, which was great for me. Find a language partner or a teacher. As I mentioned before, I spent a long time with Japanese in the beginning, around 1.5 years, studying by myself with a textbook. And I noticed after some time, I could read. Maybe my listening was not too bad because there was a lot of audio exercises in the textbook, but I still found it really hard to have conversations in Japanese. And I kept thinking, I'm living in Tokyo. I'm surrounded by Japanese. Why can't I speak Japanese? And the thing is, you have to practice. Speaking is like a muscle. You have to use it to improve it. I always use the same analogy. It's like watching videos about how to work out on YouTube and then wondering why you don't have muscles because you understand how to get muscles. So why don't you have them? It's because you're not going to the gym. You're not doing the thing that will give you muscles, or you're not speaking, which will help you to speak. You can only improve something by doing it. For you, it might be a little bit more difficult because you might not be in the country where the language is spoken natively. But that's okay. We can use the internet. Seeing as I had such a positive experience with Yuko in my Japanese class, I would recommend that you also use iTalki. On their platform, they have loads of native speakers that can teach you the language you want to learn. For me, it's important that I get a native Japanese teacher because I want to have some form of cultural exchange as well. For example, in my class with Yuko, we were talking about the differences between life in Tokyo, Spain, Peru, and England, the countries that I've lived in.
これは泳ぐディクショナリー本 プラスことができる。
たくさんお家でたくさんの人がありますかありました。And this really motivated me because I had personal experience to share and I was speaking in Japanese at the same time. As I said before, classes are one-on-one and they are personalized. They are tailored to your needs, which I think is great because they can analyze your weaknesses and give you some feedback on how you can improve them. They can give you some activities that you can do by yourself between classes that can help you to fix your problems in that language. Another cool thing is that on iTalki, there are no subscriptions. You just pay per class that you take. I love this because I can take maybe 5 classes when I'm feeling motivated. I can get some feedback from Yuko, my teacher, and work on those things by myself. And then a month later or a few weeks later, I could buy another set of classes, maybe another 5 classes, and I could work on them without the pressure of the subscription, without the pressure of feeling like I need to take a class every week to get my money's worth. Taking classes on iTalki also allows you to learn anywhere at any time. I looked for Yuko and I found her schedule to match mine because she's also living in Barcelona. She's also living in Spain. And of course, we are learning online. So all I had to do was open my laptop. I just jumped out of bed, opened my laptop, and I started my Japanese class. And finally, one of the great things is that the majority, if not all the teachers, have a lower price for their trial classes. This means that you can shop around a little bit. You can try out different teachers. In my case, I normally like to try out 3 or 4 teachers just to see who I am more similar to or which teaching style I prefer, because again, it's important that you enjoy the conversation, you enjoy the classes. This will help you to prolong your studying in your target language. Amazingly, iTalki has given me this discount code. So if you buy $10 on their platform, they'll give you an extra $5 to use for your first lesson on the platform. You will also find a link in the description below where you can use this discount code on iTalki. But make sure to get a move on because this discount code is only available for the first 50 users. So click now. If you're looking for a language exchange, there are lots of websites online or even applications that you can use. All you have to do is type in the language that you're native in my case, English, right? And then the language that you want to learn, Japanese. So I would write in Google, English to Japanese language exchange. And there will be hundreds or maybe even thousands of websites or applications that you can use to find a language partner. Of course, this won't be as structured, so you have to put in a bit more effort. I know when I've done this in Japan, because I'm an English teacher, the onus was always on me to kind of structure how we will do the exchange. If you don't want to put that effort into it, then it would be better that you get a teacher and pay them because that will be their responsibility. Of course, with a language exchange, the responsibility is with you, so you have to be more active in that exchange. Set realistic goals. A lot of people, when they start learning a language, they say, I want to be fluent. I want to be fluent in English. I want to be fluent in Japanese. That's great. It's good to have ambition. However, these big targets, especially when you're starting from zero or from a low level, can be quite daunting, and they can also work against us. If you're always focused on just becoming fluent in a language, I'm going to tell you now a little secret. You're not going to get there. The main thing that you need to be focused on is enjoying the process, enjoying the journey. And that's something that's the mistake I made with Japanese, because it was the first language I really learnt. I was just focusing on when can I speak like a native? When can I start speaking so fluently that I can work in Japanese? And this was just unrealistic. I was giving myself unrealistic targets, and that demotivated me, which of course made me quit. And you know what? Another secret is you never stop learning a language. You never complete a language. You might feel comfortable in a language, but I know loads of people from different countries. They live in England or they live in the UK and they still say to me, oh, I want to improve my English. I don't feel I'm as good as I should be. That's because the bar keeps moving. So if you say, I want to be fluent in a language, it's endless. Once you become fluent, there's other levels that you will want to reach. It's all about enjoying the present moment. And tip number 5, document your life. The most important thing when learning a language is making it relevant to your life. Learning about things that you want to talk about or you want to hear about. In so many cases, we learn a language with a textbook and we learn words that are just not useful for our daily conversations. They might not be things that you want to talk about personally. That's why it's fundamental that you keep a diary in the language that you're trying to learn, because you are documenting, you're writing about what you did that day. It doesn't have to be something really exciting, because remember, in your own native language, we don't have these really deep conversations every day. We normally talk with our friends about what we did yesterday. I went to the park. I went to the beach. These kind of things are what most people talk about on a daily basis. So if you can keep a diary in your target language about your daily routine, it'll be much easier when you have a conversation. The conversation will flow much better. This is something that I do in Spanish. Admittedly, I haven't started doing it yet in Japanese, but I will start doing it, I promise. But it's something that I do in Spanish almost every day to just try to help me feel more fluent in that language. And it's definitely worked. When I write out my week and then I see my friends, my Argentinian friends, my Peruvian friends at the weekend, I'm much more fluent when I'm speaking. And this can help you to stay motivated because you have that nice routine of writing a paragraph every day in your target language, and then at the weekends, once a week, having a great conversation in that target language. This could also work with your language teacher. So you write about your daily routine per week, and then on the Wednesday, on a Thursday, you have your lesson on iTalki, and then it will flow much better. It will be way more productive for you. You'll get better value for money because you'll be speaking more. The teacher won't have to correct you as much because you've already written down your thoughts or your routine on paper. Okay, so that's everything for this video. Remember, try to keep a consistent habit of studying a little bit every day. That's the main thing I want you to take away from this video. I'm going to be doing 20 minutes of Japanese or 30 minutes of Japanese every day for the next 30 days. That's a realistic target. Nothing too far in the future, and I'm not overloading myself with 5 hours per day. So keep it realistic and keep it often. Of course, I'll also be taking classes with Yuko on iTalki. If you want to find your language teacher to help you stay motivated, make sure to go to the description below and find the link and use the discount code Chris. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and I'll see you next time.